Alright, so in today's video we will be covering a Palestinian craft-produced, likely locally made recoilless grenade launcher or rocket launcher that has been used by various Palestinian resistance groups against Israeli forces in Gaza over the last few years. Particularly, we will be covering a couple clips that were, I believe, filmed in Gaza, Palestine in 2024 of this weapon being used against invading Israeli forces. In the background here, we can see some propaganda footage of various Palestinian resistance firing factory-made, mainly RPG-7 pattern rocket launchers or grenade launchers at very Israeli armored vehicles, including here a D9 bulldozer. This video is unscripted, so just bear with me. But here we go as our first propaganda pic of this craft-produced Palestinian grenade launcher. As you can see, it's basically a simple metal tube attached to a wooden grip stock. The weapon appears to be electrically ignited, has basic sights, and has what appears to be a blast shield. This blast shield can be seen in this photo, as well as the very basic sights. The presence of this blast shield likely indicates that, like the German World War II Panzerschreck, that the ammunition used here is still accelerating after it leaves the tube, so this blast shield is there to protect the firer or user from the burning propellant gases. Here's another photo. I don't know what's going on with this one. It looks heavily edited, but there is some sort of different sighting mechanism. In my opinion, it's probably literally just a tube with nothing in it. But here's our first video of the weapon being fired and loaded. I guess their target in this case is an Israeli Merkava. It could be or couldn't. Who knows? These edits are very heavily edited together, but we can see it being fired indirectly here. There is, of course, in this photo, you see no user behind the weapon, and we can see some ignition cables and some sort of switch or other button you can see there highlighted by the arrow on the grip stock. In this second clip, it appears the target is a heavy Israeli APC, the one that's based off the T-55s that were captured long ago. I'm not sure the name of it, but some of you will name it in the comment. I believe it starts with an A. As we can see here, there's a bunch of cables leading up to this individual with this launcher. Fires it, lots of backblast, but this appears to be the same craft-produced launcher. Unfortunately, we don't get to see an effect of the launcher on that vehicle. Who knows if that vehicle was the actual target of that launch. But of course, this weapon heavily resembles the concept of the M1 bazooka seen here and the World War II German Panzerschreck, both of which use electrically ignited rockets or grenades. The Panzerschreck, of course, has a blast shield, unlike the bazooka. But in these couple clips, we can see a old World War II training clip. Here it shows off a bazooka's ammunition, which you can see is electrically ignited by that cable right there. Unlike this Palestinian launcher, which I'm just going to call the Palestinian Panzerschreck because it sounds good, the bazooka does have its own self-contained ignition system that's in the grip stock. It uses a battery, and when you pull the trigger, as you can see here, there's a test light to show that it is working. I believe these Palestinian launchers rely on an external power source, but they likely have a trigger located on the grip stock. But yeah, they do appear to use electronically primed ammunition. There could be versions of this launcher that do have a built-in battery system, so it's not reliant on an external power source. But here we can see a bazooka being loaded from the rear. Of course, this Palestinian launcher is loaded from the rear, as we saw from that clip, unlike RPG-7 pattern launchers or RPG-2s, which are loaded from the front, and those also have a booster charge. The Palestinian Panzerschreck doesn't appear to use a booster charge. So what is this ammunition that they're using? Well, ammunition for a rocket launcher especially is quite hard to produce, so one could speculate that these rounds, as you can see highlighted in this photo, are actually Soviet pattern S-5 rockets intended for aircraft rocket pods. This ammunition is relatively available in the region and probably could be smuggled in through Egypt, like most of the weapons that end up in Palestine. Here we can see an S5 pattern rocket here. You can see the cables coming out the rear where it is electronically ignited. Of course, these come in a variety of styles. You know, you got heat, you got frag. Various countries have made these, whether licensed copies or unlicensed. But it would honestly make sense that these about 55 millimeter rockets using a 57 millimeter tube are used in this launcher. If I had to guess, it would be something like this, probably an aircraft rocket of some sort, if not these S5 pattern, but here is a cross-section of an S5 rocket. And here is a rocket pod for S5 rockets. Of course, you've probably seen these being mounted on vehicles like MTLBs and Toyotas, various in the Middle East, and used as rocket artillery on vehicles. But here's some Vietnamese Air Force loading one, and here's a clip of basically similar air-to-ground Soviet-style rockets being fired out of aircraft over Ukraine. But yeah, if I had to guess, these Palestinian Panzerschrecks, they likely use electronically ignited aircraft rockets of some Soviet style. But hopefully we'll see more footage of these launchers, as this is quite interesting to see a craft-produced launcher used in a modern conflict. Really, the only place else I've seen this is in Myanmar or Burma. We see some of those rebel groups and various factions use craft-made, rocket launchers or recoilless grenade launchers, however you like to call them. But yeah, thanks for listening to me ramble in this video. If you like my content, consider subscribing, liking, whatever the hell you do for YouTube. Also, check me out on Instagram. My handle is @TheDixieMauser as well. I post there more regularly. But again, thank you for listening. Let me know if you want more of this content.